Hi everyone, welcome to the Indianapolis Mulesoft meetup on April 1st. And today we'll be talking about implementing CI/CD pipeline for deploying GitHub Actions. And let me first go through the things. Yeah, safe harbor statement that we usually talk that myself or Jackie as not we are not representing any companies, and this is just for the learning purpose only. And housekeeping, we'll be recording this session, and any questions will be asked will be answered by our speaker, and we love our feedback, so please give us your feedback so that we can work on it and improve ourselves and how we present our topics and how we interact with you guys. And talking about myself, I'm Ikram Mohammed, and I'm integration lead at Salesforce. I recently joined Salesforce, and I have 15 plus years of experience, and I recently got certified in MCIA as well, apart from MCP and developer as well. That's about me. So I don't think we need any introduction for, but still, Jackie, it's over to you.
Yeah, so can I share my screen?
Yeah, I'll stop sharing and you can start sharing.
Just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. So my name is Jitendra Bafna and I am a senior solution architect working at a EPM system, having overall 14 plus years of experience in the EPS and the integration technology. I am Mulesoft ambassador and I am leading a various meetup group which includes Surat, Nasik and engineering student, and I have expertise in setting up Mulesoft platform or designing Mulesoft platform using cloud up, customer hosted EKS, RTF. Also, expertise in application integration using API-led connectivity and event-driven architecture. And also, I have worked on various migration from on-premise to cloud hub, like Mule 3 to Mule 4. Defining the roadmap strategy, how we can do the migration without impacting, or with a lower impact to the business. Those kind of things. Yeah. So that's all about me. So let me go with agenda. So it will be moreover there will be more of demonstration. Like we will see 2-3 demonstration in the section. So we will see what is we need CICD, what is Mule Maven plugin. Then we will see a GitHub action. Then we will see how we can deploy the application to cloud hub using any point username and the password. Then we will see how we can deploy the application to cloud hub using connected app. And then there will be finally a trivia quiz. Okay. So why we want a DevOps basically? So one of the important things for the DevOps requirement to establish a collaboration between your development, IT, and IT operation. So we can do the faster release, to the production environment, and in the repeatable way basically. So we can have a shorter releases, we can do many releases or in the month. Like earlier what is happening, for doing any release it taking a lot of time, right? With DevOps concept, we are bringing the IT operations and the development together. So we can do the faster release to the production, and in the repeatable manner basically, right? So what are the benefits we are getting? As I mentioned, release and deployment can be done more frequently and more quicker. So your time to market is basically reducing here, and short time mean time to repair. So you can catch the error in the development phase. So basically with the continuous integration, what you can do, so as soon as you checking the code predicted like GitHub, so your pipeline will trigger. It will scan your code which you have checked in. It will going to scan everything and it will check is there any errors in that particular code. It will try to build that code. In case is there any error, it can trigger the email to the developer, saying your code is not building the properly. Apart from it can run some unit test cases. Then also there will be the cost reduction and the reliable deployment. So you are just avoiding a manual deployment. So once you have set up your pipeline, so every time you are checking into the code, it will automatically deploy. You don't require any intervention. In some cases you may require human intervention also. in case of manual deployment, or in case of like if sometimes we need to provide some kind of approval for deployment, those for those kind of tasks you may require the manual intervention. Then fault isolation. So here it's showing like how DevOps works. So basically developer will plan code and build the test, and release will be done together by DevOps team. Then a ops team will monitor, operate, and like deploy. So that is how like DevOps development team and operation team works together in the DevOps culture. Okay. So what is the CI/CD? So there is a two thing. CI/CD means like continuous integration, and CD means a continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So basically, when it comes to CI, it's a continuous integration. So that is basically like developer can check in their code, multiple times in the day. Basically, whenever he returns some piece of code, he can simply check in that code. As soon as he check in the code, the GitHub or like any CI/CD pipeline will get triggered, and it will scan the code, it will build the code, it will perform the code review, then it will perform the unit test, right? So this is known as a continuous integration where developer can check in the code multiple times, and then the pipeline will automatically trigger and perform a few steps, and in case there's any error, it will throw the or it will email the error. So what it depends like what kind of CI/CD you have defined, right? So continuous integration is a development practice where developer checking the code multiple times a day in shared repository, and each integration is verified by automated build and automated unit testing, which we have discussed just now. So continuous deployment is nothing the moving the code to the higher environment, which includes like quality assurance environment, or it may include a production deployment, right? So continuous deployment is ability to move the changes, including features, bugs, into the production environment quicker, basically. So what is the benefit of CI/CD? So you can do the quicker release of your code into the production, like smaller code changes. So with continuous integration, like even you return some small piece of code, as soon as you check in the code, so it automatically build, and in case the build failed, it will say, it will notify you basically, right? So in that case, you don't have to go and look at the like complete code. Like I have done these changes, and there might be error somewhere here, basically, right? So like it is just a smaller code change, then faster time to resolution. Definitely, like as soon like you are catching your error at a development phase, and you can quickly resolve that. It will improve the testability, so you can definitely automated your unit test cases, integration testing, performance testing, many other things, and it will definitely improve the customer satisfaction. So these are the some advantage with the CI/CD. So I will not going to show this complete cycle, but how does a CI/CD pipeline looks. So GitHub Action is nothing. It's a CI/CD platform that allow you to automate the build, test, and deployment the pipeline. It is also like a kind of pipeline which allow you to automatically build unit test case, then like performing a sooner cube static code analysis, then finally deploy your application into any specific environment, basically. So GitHub Action provides the capability to create the workflow that build or deploy the application on the pull request and the push request. So like there are various trigger point in GitHub Action. One is pull request. Whenever you will pull the code, right? In that case, it will automatically trigger the pipeline, and it will deploy your application. Then in case of if you are pushing any code, right, in that case also it will trigger the pipeline, and it will automatically deploy the code. There is a one more thing, like if you don't want like automated deployment, so like if you want manual deployment, you can make use of workflow underscore dispatch. So there is the third category, which is workflow underscore dispatch. If you are defining that, in that case you can deploy your code manually also, right? So GitHub pipeline always start with as like once you check in the code, the pipeline will start. It will check out the code, then it will build the code using Maven, and then it will perform the unit testing, code review. Then it will send a jar file to the Nexus repository, then deploy to CloudUp. Then finally it will give an email notification, and then it will stop, basically. So as everybody know, Maven is a very important. So Maven is basically used to build deploy your application to any environment. So right, and it also Maven where in your pom.xml you completely depend all the dependency which which Maven will automatically download and for building your application. right? Munit, everybody knows, like it's a testing framework provided by Mulesoft for like implementing the unit test cases. And SonarQube is a static code analysis tool. Like I will, if time permits, I will show one small demonstration on SonarQube also. How can you run the SonarQube in the Docker and perform the static code analysis? Okay, we will do that. Okay, and then finally we will deploy our application to the cloud, and then we will get a notification. Okay, so let's with the Mule Maven plugin. So it is one of the very important plugin provided by MuleSoft. So Mule Maven plugin is basically used to deploy your application into Cloud Hub, standalone or customer hosted Mule runtime, or RTF EKS or RTF appliance basically. So so this is the plugin provided by MuleSoft mostly for deploying, packaging, or undeploy your application. Currently it support a four authentication mechanism: anypoint username and the password, auth token, connected app, and the server. Today we will going to see the demonstration on connected app and anypoint username and the password. So server is nothing like in server, when you are using the authentication mechanism as a server, in that case you need to have a settings.xml which contain the anypoint platform username and the password. It is similar to anypoint username and password, but in this case, we are maintaining your anypoint username and the password in the settings.xml. Then we have a auth token. So generally, like you have option, you have to generate the token, and you can pass that token basically, like to your application, to your Mule Maven plugin, and it will deploy your application basically. So there are multiple ways you can do. So mostly use ways anypoint username and password, like server and connected app. So I have seen like people mostly use this server mechanism where they are maintaining settings.xml. Nowadays, people also starting using the connected apps. I will tell you why. Okay, there are few parameters which we need to understand while using the Mule Maven plugin. So like you have to tell where you have to do the deployment. In that case, you will say cloud up deployment. For RTF, you have something called runtime fabric manager deployment. For customer hosted, you have something called standalone. Then you have to provide the URI. By default, the URI is the anypoint.mulesoft.com. This is not mandatory. In case if you are using like any Europe anypoint platform, like anypoint platform which is located in Europe, and your URI is different from this anypoint.mulesoft.com in Europe, like you may be having EU1 hyphen anypoint. So in that case, you have to define the URI here. Then you have to pass the Mule version. So what on which you have to deploy the application. We will going to use 4.4.0. Then username, the password. This is one of the authentication mechanism where you have to pass anypoint platform username and the password. Then application name. So by which name you have to deploy the application. So you can mention that artifact. So like here, like it's not important, like I never use this. So but you can provide from where you have to deploy a jar file basically, but not important. Environment, so in which environment you have to deploy the application. Then also if you have any runtime properties, like if you need to pass any properties, you can use this property tags and key value pair, like so do, like if I want to pass http dot port, right, as a property, so you can pass like this. Then your worker, on how many worker you need to deploy the application. So you can definitely mention you want 1 2 3 4 5 whatever. Then worker type, so currently supported worker type is micro, small, medium, large, XL large, XXL large, and 4x large basically, up to 16 records. Then region, by default region is US East one. It's not a compulsory parameter, right? So even worker type is not compulsory, default is micro. If you are not providing anything, it will choose micro. If you are not providing the region, choose US East one, but there are like other regions also supported. Object store v2, so that is very important. Like some of the organization doesn't put object store v1, right? In this case, we have to pass this property object store v2 equals to true. Then persistent queue. So if you want to enable the persistent queue, you can pass that. In which business group you need to deploy the application, you can provide the group ID. So generally, what is the deployment timeout? Default is like around 100,000 millisecond, not 100,000, like 1,000 millisecond, like So that is too much. And then server, like as I mentioned, like if you don't want to pass the username and password, you can use the other authentication mechanism, that is the server, where you can pass the server ID and your actual username and password is located in settings.xml. Let me go to next slide. Skip, like if you want to skip any goal, you can do that. Skip deployment verification. So you can just like in like what happens like when you do the deployment, right, it takes some kind of time, like your pipeline keep waiting to get the response from the anypoint platform, right? But in that case, if you don't want to wait, you can just skip deployment verification. The other authentication mechanism, that is the auth token. Then we have like third, like other, the connected app client ID, connected app client secret, then connected app grant type. These are the three parameters we need to pass when you want to use the connected app based authentication. If you want to apply any latest runtime patch, you can just set to the true basically. So these are the few parameters. We will not going to use each and every parameter. You will see the few parameters only. So these are the parameters you can define in your settings.xml. Let me show that. So this is my settings.xml. So like you can see, I have a Mule Maven plugins, right? Let me maximize. Let me maximize it. Okay. Okay, so I have passing like that's fine, like version everything. Like by default, whenever you will like create an application, a Mule Maven plugin will be available in your XML. So I'm passing the URI, even it's not a mandatory parameter because I like default is anypointmulesoft.com. Then I am passing the Mule version. So here I am declaring the variable. I don't want to hard code any value here. So you can declare variable like this: dollar curly bracket app dot runtime curly bracket username, then password. I'm passing application name, passing the environment name, passing the region, which is not important. Okay, even like you are not passing this value, it will automatically take US East one. Then what is the workers and worker type and object store v2 true. We will see client ID later, like connected app one, connected app later basically. But we start with this username and the password. Okay, so and I have already checked in this code to my GitHub basically. GitHub. Okay, I have already check in this code and I have everything in here. So you can see that username, password, everything. Okay, so let me go to slide again. Then we have something called connected app basically. So connected app feature provide a framework that enable an external application to integrate with any point platform using API through OAuth and OpenID Connect. Connect apps help user to delegate their access without saving sensitive credential, giving full control of their account to third party. Action taken by the connected app are audited and user can revoke the access anytime. So basically what happening like if you have any point platform username and the password, right? In that case you can simply anybody like can log into your anypoint platform. With connected app, like whenever you're creating the connected app in anypoint platform, it provide a client ID and the client secret basically, which cannot be used to log into your anypoint platform, but though that can be used to access the resources within anypoint platform. Let us consider I want to deploy a application in my runtime manager. So whenever you create a connected app, you need to give like those permission to that particular connected app, right? And like you need to tell like this permission is allowed in this particular business group. You can provide those things. So once you've done that, you can use that client ID and the client secret, like to access those resources or to perform any operation on those resources. Okay, so only the here we are getting the advantage, like you don't have to share the anypoint platform username and the password. You don't have to configure those things anywhere basically, right?
Jackie, in case if we have multiple business groups, so do we need to create multiple connected apps, or one connected app can be
No, no,
configured to for multiple business groups?
no. One connected app can be configured for the multiple business group. That is
Okay,
possible. Okay,
okay.
so you can do that. Any question till now?
No, there are no questions.
Okay, okay, good. Let me let me go with the first demonstration. Before I go to demonstration, I need to explain a file, right? Let before explaining the file, what I will do, how we can create a workflow. So if you go to your sorry, let me go back. Let me browse my repository. So here is my repository, Mulesoft Git Action Demo. Here you can see a tab called Action. You can create on this particular tab. Okay. So now what I will do, so I will create a new workflow here. So you can click on new workflow and you can say simply configure a workflow, right? So here you can see, like if you see, like each CI/CD pipeline comes with some extension and the plugins, right? So GitHub Action have its own marketplace. Here, this is the marketplace. Like you can search, like if you I want some plugin related to Spectral, right? So I can just search. So you can get that. You can click on this. It will provide steps how to configure that particular thing into your workflow, basically, right? So as I mentioned, like so this is just a marketplace. We will see in deep, like just I want to give a sense, like what is the marketplace. So this is a place where you can find all the tasks, all the plugins, all the extensions, everything here. So here you can see I create a default pipeline. First, you need to give name on when you want to trigger. So on the push, on which on the whenever we do push to the main branch, you need to trigger. Whenever we will do the pull request to main branch, you need to trigger. Then workflow dispatch. So this is basically used for the manual deployment. If you want to enable the manual deployment, so here I am supporting all the three options basically, right? Then you can define a job. Basically the first is build, then after it's kind of steps. Basically job is nothing, it's kind of steps. In build, what operation you need to perform, then you can say deploy. On deploy, what other things you need to perform, right? So this is the a simple pipeline. Let me show a Mulesoft pipeline. Basically I will copy this and I will paste it here. So here I am just not creating a manual workflow dispatch. You can do that, that's fine. Now I'm saying, so it will create a container every time whenever you create a job, or whenever you run the pipeline, it will create a container for each stages basically, right? Or each step basically. So build, so it will run on the Ubuntu latest. So whenever it will create a container, it will set up this Ubuntu latest on that, and then it will perform this particular steps basically. The first thing, it will check out the code. Okay, if you want to see the like tasks for checkout or steps for checkout, you can see that, so we have things for checkout. So what you have to do for checking out the code, it will say you have to pass name, uses, with, and these are some parameters you can pass. Okay, it will explain everything to you. So the first thing, I am just checking out the code. The second thing, I am caching the dependency. So basically, first time whenever you will run the job, it will download all the dependency and it will do the cache. Okay. Next time, it doesn't have to download the dependency again. But how, like how the job will come to know I have added some new dependency, right? So for that, what we do, so we have some, like we are giving the path. So I want to like cache all the dependency on this particular folder. Then I'm saying, like every time I am generating the hash of my pom.xml, and that hash will be compared with the previous app. If it's same, it means the pom.xml is not changed. Then it will read all the dependency from the cache itself. In case if hash is got changed, right? So it will not going to read any, like it will try to update your repository again, because it will identify that something has been added or something has been removed from your pom.xml. Okay, so that section. Then like set up the jdk, we need to install the jdk also. It's like you can set up the jdk. Like then finally, so you are performing the build, like you are generating your jar file. After generating the jar file, you are stamp artifact file name with the commit hash basically. So here, so first what we have done, we have set up the jdk. Then we are building your, you are packaging your application or generating the jar file. Then you are stamping the artifact to ensure that whenever, like we always pick the latest jar file, right? That's why we are stamping this. So this is the syntax for doing the stamp of your jar file. So so then finally, so this is done. So you are copying this file to this target folder, like whatever file name generated with this hash. So we are copying that. Okay. then then again, this is the my build stage. Okay, now I'm going to my deploy stage. So basically this is a deploy stage. Again I am saying it will create a, container for this also. So it will run on ubuntu. It will check out the code, it will cache the dependency for deploy. Then like it will copy this here, and then finally, like whatever artifact we have time we have stamped, right? It will automatically pick that artifact. You can see that artifact name $ls star dot jar. So it will pick the latest artifact. Okay. So apart from that, I don't want this. That's fine. We can remove this. Then I'm running like MVM package deploy. So Mule Maven plugin provide three command: MVN deploy, MVN undeploy, MVM package. So I'm using MVM package deploy minus d Mule deploy. This is a syntax which will package and deploy your application. Now I'm passing all the variable which I've defined in my pom.xml. So minus d, you need to pass always minus d and variable name which you have defined in your pom.xml, right? So environment. So if you see, I've defined the environment variable here, right? So I'm passing the environment, then I'm passing the app name like GitHub action demo app username. So I'm reading the username, anypoint username from the GitHub secrets. I will tell you how we can define the GitHub secrets. Then I'm reading the password from the GitHub secrets. So you, dollar curly bracket secrets dot variable name which you have defined in the GitHub secret. Then app dot runtime which is 4.40. I will use 4.40. Then minus d worker, how many workers, and minus d worker type, like micro basically, right? So everything is good here. So we are using this simple command mvm package deploy and minus d mail deploy, and then passing all the variables and like reading the username the password from the secrets basically. I will say start commit. I will tell you how we can define the secrets. So as soon as I will commit, so if you see in your code repository, it will create a folder called .github/workflows, right? And it will also trigger the pipeline. So here we have two steps: build and deploy. Log into my Anypoint platform. I will share this file with you. So I will come on that like connected app. I will show the demonstration on that, and I will tell you what are the scopes you need to define, or you need to provide to the connected app. So build has been completed. You can click here and you can check, everything is fine. Now you can go to deploy, and like it already downloaded everything. Now you can see it's deploying the application, checking application started. You can see the applications comes here, so it's like what I have noticed, like it is very fast, basically. It's very fast. It downloaded dependencies and everything very quickly. It's very fast basically. So it's deploying the application. Till that it's deploying the application, I will tell you how you can define the secrets. You can go to settings. Okay. Under settings, you can go to secrets. I have to define the secrets for the actions. And here I've defined the two secrets: anypoint password and anypoint username. Okay. Like you cannot see what value you have defined to anypoint password and anypoint username. So it is stored very say like like secret, like it is encrypted and gets stored, and you cannot retrieve that value again. Okay. So now if you want to define new repository secret, you can simply click here, you give the secret name, you give the value. Once you give the value, you cannot retrieve that. Okay. But you can always update the value here. You can click on update and you can update that value. Okay. So I will show you when I will configure this connected app. Let's wait for application to deploy. Till application is deploying, let's start configuring the connected app without wasting the time. So let me go to access management. So I can go to my access management. Under access, there should be connected app. I will create app. I will use the client credential, and I will say Indianapolis demo. Okay. Then you can say add scopes. So basically, so you have to go to runtime manager. In runtime manager, you can create the application, read the application, download the application, you can manage the settings, those kind of things you can give. Apart from that, you have a two important permission needs to be give: view organization and view environment. So like you should know, like you have access to that particular organization, and you have access to that particular business environment. So that two permission is very important. Just give a view, that is also enough. Also, if you want to give a delete application, not required, but you can give that. I think this will be the enough. And even if you want to give a cloud of organization admin, you can do that, but not necessary. I will say next. Here you will see the multiple business group. If you want to assign this connected app to multiple business group, you can simply click on this and sandbox. Whenever you have multiple business group, it will list down everything here. I want to give the access to cell and this to the sandbox. I will say review. I will say add scope, and I will say save. Okay, I have generated like my client ID in the client secret. So you can go to GitHub. Under GitHub, you can define two variables. I can say client ID. So let me copy a client ID. You can copy this and you can define it here. Just add secret. Then let me go to client secret also. Add secret. Okay. So that is the thing you need to do. Then you go to pom.xml. I will just comment this username, the password, and I will uncomment this connected app client ID and the client secret. So you have to like connected app client ID, connected app client secret. What is the application grant type? Those are the things you need to pass it. Okay. So let me check in this code again. I can say git add dot git commit -m connected apps. Okay. Git push origin main. Okay, I have to pull that because I have done some changes. Then I can do push. So let me go. Let me what will happen like as soon as I check in the code, you will see the other pipeline start. But I will cancel this because I haven't configured the connected app yet. In my job. So you can cancel this for now. So you can see this particular thing has been successful. Your build and deploy. Check the application is deployed or not. So you can see your application is successfully deployed with your connected app. Okay. So what I've done, like I have just canceled one of the job, right? I don't want because I want to configure the connected app. For that, I will go to code. Under code, I will go to GitHub workflow. I will go to blank.yaml. I will edit this file. Now, what I don't want this client ID. Instead of that, I want to pass a client ID. I don't want this username, sorry, not client ID. I will say client ID. Then I have to read this client ID from secrets. Then I can say client secrets. Client secret, yeah. So these are the changes I need to do. Very straightforward changes. Just you have to ensure that like you updated your pom.xml and your like workflow in your GitHub. Let me start commit. As soon as I will commit, it will start the job. Let's keep eye on this. So it is starting the job. Okay, it is success. So you can see. So for build is to run everything. It's very quick. So now if you see it reading, it will download the file or it will read the file. Now it start deploying. The application already exists and it's redeploying. You can see that here. So it start deploying your application because it's already exist, right? So currently we are using the connected app. So you can always make use of connected app for deploying your application. Okay, now it will wait. So as I mentioned, like if you want to skip this, right? So you can use that skip deployment option to true basically. Okay. So I think we have complete two demo. Let me show one more demo. So how can you run the Sonar Cube in the Docker for performing the static code analysis, right? So let's do that also because we have some time. That's fine, right, Ikram?
Yeah, sure.
Any question?
And Jackie, in case if you want to manually start the deployment, we just need to go to the actions and start it manually, right?
Yeah, as I mentioned, right? So we have some option like workflow underscore dispatch,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right now you cannot do that, right? Because we haven't kept that option.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can go to your pipeline, okay, in black.yaml, and you can add the option like we have a push and pull request, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can simply say workflow
Oh, okay.
dispatch. So it will give you a manual option also for
Mm-hmm.
deploying.
Okay.
So marketplace is very important. So you can get every plugin like all the steps like if you want to perform any kind of activity like for build or like for caching or any kind of like you will find everything in your marketplace, in your GitHub marketplace.
We have one question in the chat. So I think so. Velicia is asking how access Artifactory. It will be
So
specified in the
okay.
POM file, right?
Yeah, you need to specify a distribution management,
Yeah.
in your pom.xml, right? Then you need to add some kind of dependencies. Then you have to add one of the steps within the deployment, like we have a needs build, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
add some like uh, so for Nexus also use the mv deploy, right? Just you will not use minus d mule deploy. It means this is specific to mule.
Yeah.
You have to use just mv deploy command for for creating jar file into Nexus repository.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
should have an activity. Let me check if we have something for Nexus also. So let me go there. So it's the same like whatever you are doing for
Mm-hmm.
CI/CD pipeline, right? It's the same thing. The same step you have to follow. So you might be having something for Nexus also. Yeah, you can have it like Nexus release. So how can you
Okay.
do that? Like Nexus username, password. So
Mm-hmm.
you can provide this. You can directly use this also. Okay, but you have to add some dependencies also.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Okay.
provide Nexus username, password here. Correct.
Yeah.
And so you have all like you can go to marketplace and you can check everything. You will get everything in your marketplace.
Okay.
Let me. I think application redeployment always take time. Okay. So let me do one thing. So let me start with the Docker, so I have some time. So like we have 12 more minutes, 15 more minutes. So we can see something related to Docker. So what we will do, like we will run a Docker instance of your Sonar Cube. So or Docker container instance of Sonar Cube in the Docker. Then we will perform the static code analysis on this particular application, which we have like which we have used for the deployment purpose. We will do that. Okay, and we will see how we can access the web applications, Sonar Cube web application, and how we can check like what are the vulnerabilities in the code, quality gates, everything. So let the first steps, what you have to do, you have to download or you have to create the image, right? So you have to pull the image. So this is the image for Sonar Cube. So Docker pull, and you have to pass this name slash mule Sonar Cube 7.73. You just copy this. In my case, I don't think it will take time. Image is already present. What happened? Haven't copied. It will say already exist. I hope because yeah, image is already exist. I have a Docker desktop already running on my machine. You can install a Docker or Docker desktop version, right? And once you like pull the image, you can see your images under this particular and also you can use the command. I think it's Docker images. It should not take that much of the time. it's taking. That's fine. Okay, so this is the command. Let me do one thing. Let me open new command prompt. Yeah, so you can see this is the image already available. Now we want to create a container out of this, or we want to build this particular image. So there is some command called docker run, and you can pass what name you need to give. You can pass a port 9000. This is input, this is output, and this is for the sonar cube, and this is the some internal port you need to pass for the sonar cube. Like it requires the multiple port, one for server, one for running web application, one for performing the sonar cube analysis, and what image you need to use, you have to pass that. So I have just downloaded this. I will use this particular image, copy this command, and you just paste it here and run it. It has created the container, and you can go to Docker desktop and you will see a container has been created. It's running on port 9000. 9092 is used for internal purpose. Okay, so now what we will do, we have run that. Then you can run the command a docker ps, which will tell the container image is up and running. This is the this is container which is up and running. Okay, so now you can go to uh, browser, and you can simply say 9000. So it will start the sonar queue. You will see something will happen in here. Yeah, once it will say sonar cube is up, so it should able to, yeah. So here sonar cube is up. So basically, right. So you can go to rules. Under rules, you can see mule. So we have a rules for other also, but we have a rules for mule also. So here we have some default rule basically. Okay. So API ID must in auto discovery should not be hard coded. It will check like if there is something is hard coded or not. If you click on this, it will give so what is the expression used to check this, those kind of thing, like what kind of issue is it? It's a code smell. Is it major? Like it's a major problem. So those kind of things you can find it here. Okay. Then we have a quality profile. Okay, for Mulesoft we have a true profile. One, there are rule for Mule 3 and there is a rule for Mule 4.x. Okay, I will come back on this. Let me do one thing, like our Sonar Cube is up and running. Now what we can do, we have to add one dependency, this plugin basically into your pom.xml. Like this is the Sonar plugin which we need to add. I think it should be already added. Let me check. Yeah, it's already there. So you need to add this plugin. Okay, so it's already there. Let me copy this part of this particular thing. Enter. Okay, so now once you have done this, you can run this command ambient sonar colon sonar. Then you have to pass the host name, host URL, which is http localhost 9000, and what code you need to scan. So I need to scan the code which is under .src folder. So it will is going to scan all the src folder code basically. So run that command. Not this here. Let me go to project. Right now there is nothing. Once okay, so there's a one thing you need to do. So always make sure there's a one more thing we need to do before we do that. So right now there is some settings we need to do. So let me do that settings. I have to log in first. So password is admin by default. Okay. You go to administration. Under administration, you have to go to XML. just remove this XML. This means like you don't want to scan this file, but I want to scan the XML file. I will just save it, then run the command again. Okay, it is success. If you go to project, you should see the reports. So you can see, yeah. So you can see there is a two bugs, two vulnerabilities, like but quality gate has been passed, those kind of thing. If you click here, two bugs, it will tell what are the problem. It will tell everything. If you see vulnerabilities, what are the problem in what is the code smells. So these are the things you can check here. Apart from that, like you can go to administrator and administration quality profile. By default, if you see like it is like profile has been configured from mule 4.x. If you want to do the code scan for 3, like you can change the profile from here, mule rule 3.x basically, right? Even apart from that, you like let me go back to project. Then the code, you can go to quality gate. So you have a SonarWay quality gate, but you can create your own quality gate also to check like what is the percentage of your code coverage you require. You can check other parameters also. So for that, you simply go to this administration. Under administration, like that should be called, not here, quality gate. You can simply create a new quality gate, and like you can check like what kind of quality gates you want. You can define this quality gate. Okay. So
And, and can we modify the rules?
yeah, you can write. I will give the link to you. So Mulesoft checklist, GitHub. You can add more rules and everything. So we have something called, we have an accelerator for that. Okay, so yeah, this is the Mule Sonar plugin. So here you can see like everything is. Let me paste this link. Here you can see like everything, like how to define the rules and everything on this particular. And also like here it will say like this is the rule set file, right, for mule 4, like how to create the rules and everything. You can do that. Okay.
Okay.
And apart from that, it also provides the steps for how to try it out in the Docker. Okay, and where you have to do the rule changes. Everything is there, like so you can definitely add new rules, and like you can use the existing rules. It's possible. And also you don't have to always use a Docker container, but you can directly add the rule into SonarQube. It's given us the complete how you can do that. So it is step by step approach available here. Like you have to create a rule file, and you just have to configure that rule file in the SonarQube. If you have an existing SonarQube, you can just create a rule file, and you can create the profile for Mulesoft, and you can add that new like rule file against that. Uh, yeah, I think I have done with all the demonstration.
Mhm.
So
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Does anyone
yeah,
have any questions? And in GitHub Actions itself, we can configure for SonarCube as well, right?
yeah, you can
Yeah.
definitely configure the Sunak. You just have to run this, and you have to configure this MVN command. But
Hmm.
right now, I'm not showing because my GitHub is located in the it's a SaaS
Yeah.
platform, right?
Hmm.
And my Sonar Cube is located on local host, so I will not able to connect. The first
Okay.
thing, like either you may have some like on-premise GitHub instance, like
Mm.
which can connect to Sonar Cube, or you may have a Sonar Cube which is available publicly,
Yeah.
and you can use that. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's a simple
And
like it's a
mm,
Maven command. You have to just use this particular Maven command. That's it.
okay. And one more thing, Jackie, like most in some cases we have a Mule project which has XMLs and also some Java classes, right?
Mm,
So can we do both that together in SonarCube? I don't think so, but I'm just asking if I'm wrong or is there a way?
like I
As of I
don't
know, we cannot
think
do that
we
because
cannot do that actually, right?
yeah,
Either we can scan XML file, or
or as a separate Java project, then we can do. But when it has a combination of both, then I don't think we can do
but
that.
I feel like it will do whatever under source file, right? It will
Uh-huh.
do that.
Okay.
This is Java code, and this is like Mulesoft code. It does that.
Mhm. Okay, but we need to. How will it know which rules to pick? Because we have one rule set only for Mule 4 as defined, which is for
You
the.
have to you have to define in profiles, right? So
Okay.
basically, if you have something called in quality profiles. So like it for like C sharp, we have a one profile, right?
Hmm.
So if you see for Java, we will have some profile here.
Yeah.
For Java, we have a one profile, right? Then for Mulesoft, we have a one profile. By default, it taking the Mulesoft rule for 4.x. This is the default one. Okay. If you want to change for your project, you can simply go there under administration, quality profile, and you can go to Mule. You can change this. So which rules needs to be
Hmm.
applied. I think it will check for Java also. Like it will automatically apply Java rule to that.
Okay. Thanks, Jackie. I don't think anyone has any other questions. If not, then we can go for the trivia and we can wind it up.
Yeah.
Since we are a smaller group, I think and chat itself. Jackie, you want me to record even this trivia quiz or can I stop the recording?
I think better to stop the recording.
Yeah,
That's fine.
okay. I'll go ahead and stop.